Now, in terms of how the law enforcement relates with young people, one thing I heard over at Blue Ox Youth and Community Radio, they have a teen platform program where they hear from the local people, young people. They get on radio and talk about their issues. They say that if there's a group of 3 or more young people on a street corner, the police will stop them here in Eureka and basically profile them as if they were assumed to be gang members. Do you think there's kind of a lack of trust between the up-and-coming generation and local law enforcement? What would you want to do to try to rebuild that trust, let young people know that law enforcement is there to serve them? And
Again, actually I have a lot of experience in that. I was one of the first officers to put on what we call a police educator position. Now it's called a resource officer, and that's putting a police officer inside the schools and showing kids what they be a role model, showing kids what they can do if they stay off of drugs and stay in school. And we need more of that. We need more of that that interaction, so the kids realize, hey, yeah, cops are pretty cool. And I was very successful in that program. Put on what I called a career day, which brought all different types of careers, helicopters and some military stuff, all the cool type of jobs, so kids could actually get hands-on and sit in the equipment. And we put it on, law enforcement put it on, and it bridged that gap. We need to get back to that. The Sheriff's Office does have resource officers. We need to focus more of that, and instead of stopping kids to see what they're doing, I was just stopping and chatting with them, hanging out at the skateboard park and chatting with the folks that are skateboarding, stuff like that. You glean a lot of great information from people. Again, we did the same thing at Eureka with the street legal drag program. That was unheard of. We invented that when I was the traffic sergeant at EPD, and instead of having kids racing on the streets, we provided a venue, the Samoa drag strip, where they could go out and race themselves, race police cars. It was a great public relations event, and again, kids warmed up to myself and my traffic officers, and it was very successful. It's those types of things that I'm talking about, that we reconnect with the community.
now, you mentioned drugs. Obviously, the county is continuing to take campaign against marijuana planting funding, and obviously there really is a problem with some of the cartels operating on public land where they wouldn't be able to do agriculture anyway, whether it was marijuana or poppies or something else. What do you feel about the allocation of police resources? Do you think there's been overfocus on marijuana versus other law enforcement needs, other serious and violent felonies people are concerned about?
Well, I think the focus within the grant program for marijuana is, I have a huge issue with that, is number one, they do eradication, but they don't do any apprehension. If you see the Sheriff's Office, they brag a lot about how many plants they eradicate. Well, that's fine and dandy. When it comes to the Mexican cartel, they purposely make a lot of noise, so the cartel leaves. They come in and harvest the plants and leave, and they brag about how much marijuana they've eradicated. Well, the cartel knows that, and they come back and just continue to grow more plants. I certainly don't want to get in a shooting. I don't want my deputies getting in a shooting. I don't want anybody hurt, but it's not working, folks. We need to focus on apprehension and eradication, specifically with the Mexican cartel. Some of those folks are very dangerous people, and hunters, biologists, backpackers, just outdoorsmen in general. Can't enjoy our beautiful county, and I think it's one of the prettiest counties we have in the United States. We can't enjoy our woods because everybody's afraid they're going to walk in on a cartel grow. We need to take back our woods, and we're going to do it by apprehending people. If we start apprehending cartel members, they're going to move somewhere else. They're going to move out of the county to do their dope growing. So that would be a priority. But the other priority is methamphetamines. I don't think that we are attacking methamphetamines like we should be. It's killing our kids. When I talk to the Native American culture, it's not only killing their kids, but it's killing their culture. We need to aggressively go after methamphetamines.
I was going to ask about that. It does seem like those are the folks who are likely to be more armed and less rational in terms of how they deal with anybody who comes in their area.
Absolutely. A good deal of the homicides I investigate, the rapes, the child molest, and more specifically the burglaries, are methamphetamine induced. They are breaking into cars, breaking into houses. Arcata just had a gentleman break into a house with a baseball bat, and I eventually guessed it was because he was under the influence of meth. We have to attack that aggressively, and it's a multifaceted problem. We can't put them all in jail. We need to identify people that maybe are already getting hooked on it and divert them and get them into some kind of drug rehab. The major players, they need to go to prison.
And in terms of 215 and a medical marijuana policy, how would you parse out who are the cartels and who are the folks who are operating within the limits of state laws? Of course, an endless series of court cases keeps changing. Latest decision, of course, being people versus Kelly.
Well, to use your term, it's already been parsed out. The 215 growers don't associate with the Mexican cartel. The Mexican cartel does not associate with the 215 growers. They stay very separate, and so that's pretty easy to do. If you're staying within the 215 laws, you're not going to be arrested. There's not going to be any investigation because you're within 215. You're in with 215. There might be some compliance checks to make sure you are in within 215. That's certainly not my major focus. It's methamphetamines and the big cartel growers.
Now, in terms of building that rapport, that trust you're talking about between the public and law enforcement, one of the more controversial decisions of the Board of Supervisors in recent years was their 3-2 vote to establish a law enforcement committee. Sheriff Philp, of course, expressed a lot of reservations about that, but it does appear that they're soliciting applications. They are setting up this committee to review policies, practices, and procedures of the Sheriff's Department in an advisory capacity, and also to recommend the hiring of an independent police auditor in the cases where there's a deadly use of force involved. As sheriff, would you cooperate with the law enforcement liaison committee, and what else would you do to try to work with the board, work with the public to get police review up and running in Humboldt County?
Absolutely, I cooperate with it as it's set, as the guidelines are set forth. I don't have a problem with it at all. Again, it's getting back to reconnecting with the community, folks, and that's just another conduit where I can listen to the community to see what they have, what issues, what problems they have with the sheriff's office. So I'm in support of it as it is set, as it is set, the guidelines how they're set now. I'm for it. I will work closely with the Board of Supervisors and the board to facilitate that.
And it was mentioned by the other candidate that both Blue Lake and Trinidad, it appears Blue Lake's renewing its contract for law enforcement services with the Sheriff's Department. Trinidad's sort of moving in that direction. Obviously, these are the two small cities in Humboldt County. They have a real problem affording their own independent police department, regardless of all the other stuff that's been happening in Blue Lake in recent years. Do you see that as a positive development?
It is a positive development. I'm going to do it a little differently. The city of Blue Lake spends over $200,000 for police services, and on a routine basis, those deputies are pulled off and to cover the McKinleyville station. I'm going to be a little bit more strict on that. It's money coming from Blue Lake. They should get the service that they deserve, and the deputies should not be pulled off to go cover McKinleyville. Additionally, I think they need to be in a different uniform, so Blue Lake can call that deputy their officer, so they can identify with that officer. The officer out there now is doing a sterling job. I'm very much in support of community-oriented policing. I have a lot of experience in it. We did it at Eureka Police Department, and it doesn't cost any more money. It's just a difference in philosophy. And that's what we're going to lean towards, and I'll do the same thing at Trinidad. Both of them are small communities that the deputies should be out of their cars. They should be walking the streets, talking to the business owners, talking to the residents, and really getting to know the youth in those communities.